My name is Reed Summers,
My name is Patricia Summers.
and we're here today to talk to you about some very important new realities that we want you to become aware of, and that really deeply connect with the feel of this time in the world, and perhaps the feel in your life at this time. And we're going to talk about what those new realities are, how they connect with the dilemma and the problem that we're all experiencing in the world today at every level, and even within our own lives. And then offer you some tools and steps and opportunities for you to engage more fully with the answer that lives within you. And so that's our purpose here today. And we're also here to talk about a very special gathering with a very special person happening this upcoming week, starting on Wednesday for 5 nights, live every night, where we will go deeper into these new realities, talk about what they all are specifically, and really take the deep dive on how they are connected to the feel of this time and to the greater challenges that we're all facing in life. So that's where we're going to head today, is into those new realities and into this very special gathering, which is called the Messenger's Vigil, taking place this week, live all around the world. It's free and open to all to participate. So Patricia and I first want to touch on perhaps the feel of this time in the world that we're all experiencing every day when we step out of our front door, take the drive to work. As we look out on the city, on our workplace, on wherever we find ourselves in the day, we are all confronted with a world that feels increasingly dissonant and divided, conflicted, and disturbed, you could say. And we're going to speak on this for a little bit, and then we're going to talk about why. We're going to give you a very clear and big picture as to why the world feels this way. And so I'm sure you can sense as you open up your laptop every day and the news comes up on the screen, getting pummeled every day with news of conflict and discord and political division, environmental destruction, great poverty around the world. Perhaps you feel, as I do, a sense of overwhelm and dismay that our world, this precious earth, and this human family, which is becoming increasingly united and connected around the globe, is facing such unbelievable headwinds of division and dissonance. Okay, so I'm sure you can feel that wherever you live in the world. Political lines are being drawn. People are being separated, even within nations. Powerful forces are using those divisions to exacerbate and reawaken all of our long-standing disputes and hatreds and resentments towards each other. This is happening within nations and between nations. It's happening all over the world. And at a time when we are facing perhaps the greatest environmental crisis in human history that we have created, how can the human family be this divided? How can we be this out of touch with reality? How can we have this much challenge coming to the table to make the compromises we need to make for the survival of the human family on this planet Earth? How? I'm sure you have found yourself asking that. How? Why? Why now? How can this be? This cannot be. And it's no wonder you feel that way, because around the world are people who are whole world people, born from the beginning with this sense of a human identity, of an earth home, instead of the identity of a nation or a religion or even a tribe, and home being a city, a country. No, many people in the world are whole world people. They're future connected people. They're connected to the future, what's coming over the horizon, less connected to the past and where we've been. And for these people, the world is a struggle. It is a struggle to make sense of this place and to feel at home here, to feel at ease here. And a further component as to why that is because some of us are connected to life beyond this world. And we're going to speak more on that in our broadcast here together.
You know, what Reed is talking about is the feel of ourselves. The feel of ourselves. As the news is coming in, there's something being struck and that is responding within us. And we can't even read the response. We can feel it. We can feel it. So this is an uncommon situation in a way. We become ever more aware of the world, ever more aware of the world's place within a larger universe, ever more aware of all of us that is humanity, as a race, and then of course nation by nation and hemisphere by hemisphere, let's say. But then there's the person by person, and then there's the person, which is us. And there is an awareness growing. There has been an awareness growing within us. And yet, when we check in, what do we feel? Well, amidst our striving, maybe goals, dreams, aspirations, disappointments, amidst all that, there's sometimes a gnawing feeling like, where do I need to be? Sometimes it arises to the extent that it actually is a question we pose to ourselves. We have the feeling, we pose the question, like, is there somewhere I need to be? Is there something I need to be doing? Where am I? Who am I? Who am I? And then, there are these native kinds of responses. There is a void. There is a void. Somewhere between us and the surface of life, there exists kind of like a void. What would happen if I could traverse that void? Strange question, right? Why would we do something like that? Because there's something inside of us that is the source of this response to the world that we've been feeling, potentially. It may take us some time to even come to some notion that this is so for us, but this process is going on for millions and millions of people in the world, in the face of everyday life, raising children, fending off who knows what kind of difficulties in your environment, whether it be environmental or political. I mean, some of our peoples in the world are contending with unbelievable situations, and they feel these feelings still, if you can imagine. So, looking for this sanctuary within, because there's this world, right? There's this world. And some of us are compelled sort of initially inward instead of outward, amazingly. And it may have to do with our fundamental nature, perhaps, just how we were formed, who knows?
Yeah, and I think on the other side of that coin are all of those who look out at the world and feel that dissonance and that overwhelm and that overload of experience, and they seek escape. And that's probably all of us. We've all sought escape at one point or another because we just don't know how to deal with what we're seeing out there, what we're feeling within ourselves. We don't know how to get from where we are to where we need to be. It's not that simple and straightforward. And so we seek escape. And we feel quite given up. And we plunge ourselves into all manner of distraction, addiction, avoidance, low self-esteem. We struggle. We feel pain emotionally and mentally. And that may be where you are right now, and that's okay. That's where millions, tens of millions of people are right now. And it's for a good reason. They're not at fault for that. It's because they are sensitive and they are sensing into the state of the world, the future of the world. And they can't shake off the deep and abiding knowing within them that they are connected to that future. It has to do with them specifically, but they don't know how to get to it. Culture doesn't validate this sense of greater destiny, of a certain place you need to get to, certain people you may need to meet, a certain purpose that has your name on it. This is not something most people are taught about when they grow up. This is not something that is confirmed within us as we go from childhood into young adulthood. Most of us, all of us really are conditioned based on the culture, religion, family we grew up in, The ideals of that culture or family or religion are projected onto us. We are told if you fulfill these things, you will be happy, you will be successful, you will be a good human being. And so we do that. And yet what we find is that it's highly unfulfilling. We lose touch with the deeper thread of our life, the thread that was leading us out into the unknown, to where we needed to go, the people we needed to meet. We lose touch with that thread. And the state of the world, as it grows darker and more challenging, pushes us inward, pushes us back into those escapes. And so we find ourselves in a dilemma. And maybe that's where you find yourself right now, is in a dilemma. And you don't know how to get out of that dilemma. And I feel and I resonate and I empathize with that dilemma. I've experienced it myself. But there is a way out of that dilemma. There is a gift being given into the world right now, a revelation that can show you the true context for life on earth at this time, where you fit into that context, where it's all going, and what you individually can do to tap into the deeper spiritual mind that you carry, which can lead you, guide you out of your dilemma and into the life you were meant to live. So there is a way, and I want you to feel that. Patricia and I want you to know there is a way. It's being discovered by growing thousands of people around the world, lived by those thousands of people, shared. A community is emerging. People are undertaking a preparation both to respond to the evolutionary needs of this time and also the evolutionary needs within them, to eclipse this small, boxed, perhaps painful existence that we find ourselves in, and to become a participant in a greater community of life. So this is possible. And it's destined to be. It's destined to be that we would eclipse our conditioning, that we would find a way out and be reached here in the world, this crazy world in which we live, be reached by something or someone, a message, a group of people, something would reach us and would awaken something in us and confirm that we are not alone, that we are not who we appear to be, mind and body, and all that we've become, all that life on earth has made us into. There's something much more natural about us, which we have yet to find. That would be awoken in our lives. So this is what we're here to talk about today, is this awakening, this emergence within the individual, and then the planetary emergence, where our world is going. And yes, it looks like it's going in 1,000 directions, or maybe it just looks like it's going down into the ravine as fast as it can go. But in fact, not really. There is an evolutionary path our world is taking, out of tribalism, even out of nationhood and smaller identities, into a world identity, to become one world in a larger universe of life. So we'll be speaking about that.
We encourage you as you go about your affairs on a day-to-day basis, and I'm sure you do, but to listen. What I'm saying is a little bit of seeing and listening combined. What do you see and what do you hear? So you drop down a couple of levels and you look and you listen. And you know what you hear. It's an interesting experience to listen a little deeper down than up on the surface, amidst all the conversation and the fray and all the activity and everything going on, the problem solving. To drop down, to listen, and not just to people, to the world itself. I think I heard a piece of news recently, and I was not aware of this, But when I heard it, it struck me. And it was that, I believe it was in Kazakhstan in 2015, it was noted that 200,000 elk, or like deer, I don't know exactly the specific genus type of the creature, it was like a deer, were found to have died almost like simultaneously. And amazingly, some of our great and impassioned scientists have gone to work to find out why. But there's a bit of a feel and a sound to that when one hears it. And so, we'll be speaking in a moment about what we are hearing from people, literally hearing. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the world has changed.
Yeah.
The environment has changed. We've changed the climate of the world. And the whole political landscape, social landscape is being changed underneath our feet. And, many of us know that at some level, but we don't know how that connects to us and to the feel of life within our lives, in these two shoes. We don't know how to connect the two. Mm. Are they connected? Or am I feel a bit out of control in an out of control world? No, not really. They are very much connected. And I'd like to share something with you. We actually had an online chat with over 100 people this morning at 9 a.m., and I counted 17 countries represented. So people from 17 countries this morning were gathered with us looking at some of these realities. These are people who are undertaking the preparation out of this old life into a new life, into this new education about these greater realities of the universe, of the earth, that we'll be speaking more about. And I asked these people a question. I asked them, what is the feeling of stirring and calling that you feel in your life at this time? And what is the need that you have felt alongside that, the crisis or the need? And so we're just going to read to you what they said. They said, this is from a variety of voices, a lack of meaning and fulfillment. That I'm not here just to be a consumer, a victim, a sufferer, but have something really important to do in this life.
A sense of unknown destiny and yearning for a deeper truth. There's something I got to do here. What is it? The breakdown of the outer world has always been my calling. The feeling that I must do something about the declining condition of the world. I'm always stimulated to look and to find how I can help.
Asking, who am I and why am I here? I always knew I was looking for a real reason to do something. Someone else said, feeling increasingly discouraged in pursuing the things that had been the sole focus of my life until that point.
It was the disappointment in my life, a great one, which led me to ask the fundamental questions of my existence in this world. Can you imagine the gift of a disappointment? A big one. Amazing. I felt a recurring sense of what is really worthwhile in this life, what can it hold, what can it contain, and also the deep concern for the state of the world.
Someone else said, I'm sure maybe you can resonate with this, that at one point in their life, they said to themselves, there has to be more to life than this. This being the shallowness, the frustration, the confusion. There has to be more to life than this. The need to live in integrity, said another, to become integrated and whole, capable of following something known but not seen, that stands in contrast to what the world demonstrates. And then they said also to be committed to something greater than myself.
Yeah, another person said, for me it was chronic stress, mental and emotional suffering, and disappointment with regard to relationships that caused me to begin to seek for peace and go within.
Another said, the big picture, how it all fits together, my life, other people, the world, the troubling circumstances of this day, the universe around me, and this word God, which I had become so distant from, the history of humanity and religions, all of it.
A greater life, a life of purpose and destiny, something that is dormant in many of us, waiting to be awakened and ignited.
And then lastly, someone said, looking for something not forced upon us, something waiting within, like a door waiting to open. A vague, persistent, relentless feeling that there was something I was supposed to do, something important, and trying to guess what that was and exploring my guesses. And so I'm sure you can resonate with these words by so many people this morning. And, you know, stepping back, I kind of feel like for some of us, we're underwhelmed by life. And for the others of us, we are overwhelmed by life. Underwhelmed in the sense that we're going about the motions of life, job, family, you know, travel, etc. But there's got to be more. This can't be it. Is this really what life is? All in total? Is, you know, make money, own things, grow old, be happy? There's something more about it. And I've not been told what that is. I was not taught that. I was actually conditioned away from that. And so there's the underwhelmed experience, the void, the sense of emptiness, the seeking for more. And then there's the overwhelmed experience of feeling swamped, you know, just too much experience and stimulation and input rushing over you all the time, needing to find some sense of reprieve or sanctuary, seeking out nature or maybe a house of worship or just being alone to get away from too much doing so that you can be, not have to do all the time. So both of these, I'm sure we've all felt in our experience.
Yeah, I was pretty moved of seeing these responses to the questions posed, and what this community of people seemed to be exhibiting was pretty profound levels of self-insight and self-knowing. And that in and of itself, for me, was both inspiring and consoling, because consoling, when I say that, is this is not what I knew in the earlier times in my life. People, as I knew them, family members, friends of siblings, whomever, didn't seem to be able to come forward and even be able to confide how they feel. Reveal that even, let's say. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't about self-revelation. Maybe it was about self-knowing. You know. And so to see this degree of self-insight and self-realization, it's good. Because this can lead ultimately to action, perhaps. But anyway.
Yeah.
At a minimum, some degree of healing and self-acceptance, perhaps even. So it's pretty impressive for me to see this and to see people actually coming to terms with their deeper nature. Like, wow. This was admittedly a very special environment that we had all gathered within. This is not something necessarily that might happen in your workplace or in, you know, the next family meeting and holiday you might share with, you know, your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. However, it's a start, because it has to start here.
And so I'm sure you can resonate, you know, with this dilemma. It's my dilemma, it's your dilemma, it's all of our dilemma. And what Patricia and I are here to do is to offer you something that meets that dilemma head on, that really addresses it, and that actually can provide you a way out, increasingly. And so this answer to that dilemma comes in 3 parts, at least today. I'm sure there are many more into the future, but we want to talk about an education that is available now, that will help clarify the world as it stands today and why you feel the way you do today. So an education, a journey, and a preparation. We're going to speak on these, the education, the journey, and the preparation, all right now. And of course, this is simply a door opening you have to pass through. We can't present all of this to you in a brief period. There's actually a tremendous amount of resource available to help fill in all the gaps. And we'll provide, you know, some links and places you can go to read and hear more. But there's a deep dive to take into these new realities, and we certainly invite that for you. So this education, we have an education to undertake about the universe in which we live, the world in which we live, the divine presence that stands behind this world, supporting this world, and the new life that we are each called to journey towards, so that we may discover our deeper gifts, that we came into the world to contribute to the world at this time. And this time in the world is a very important time in the world. And now the perspective that Patricia and I are going to offer is really not our own. It's coming from a revelation received by Marshall V. Summers over a 34-year period called The New Message from God. And it is a tremendous text and teaching that reveals all of these new realities in depth and presents a daily practice and application that all people can undertake to prepare themselves for these realities. Standard disclaimer, there is no catch here. Okay, this is all free online. You can go and download these resources, read them, study them on your own with others. This is really a gift to the world. And my father, Marshall V. Summers, and Patricia, his wife, right here with me, my father has walked a long and difficult journey over 34 years to receive this message, which is really a message for you. And he's giving it to you. And we're giving it to you today. But I invite you to look deeper into the new message from God. There's so much there to fill in all the gaps and to take you forward. So that said, the education has these components of the universe, the world, God, religion, even, and the new life that we're all called to journey towards. And I'll start with the universe because this perhaps really clarifies why the world feels the way it does right now. Our world is emerging into a universe of intelligent life. Our world is in the process, the difficult process, of unifying itself to some degree, stabilizing its societies, restoring its environment so that it can step out into a larger universe of worlds in which we have always lived. This emergence is being precipitated by the reality of contact with intelligent forces from beyond our world. And both of these realities, the reality of life in the universe and of contact, are revealed extensively in the new message. The presence of non-human intelligences in our world is changing the mental environment of the world. It's influencing societies, political bodies, economic bodies, in ways that are very powerful. And it's influencing us, individuals, at the level of thought very powerfully. And so the presence of visitors from beyond and the rapid emergence of our world out of its tribal past, out into a larger universe of life, the acceleration of that at all levels, social, technological, cultural. Even you can see the evidence in our films and our media. It's everywhere. And that sense of acceleration, over-acceleration, is something that we're all feeling. It's not just humans inventing and being creative. Something is propelling us out of our millennia-old isolation in the universe into contact and relationship and engagement with the other 99.9999% of life in the universe. This is the biggest step a world can take. And part of the disorder and upheaval and confusion and dissonance that you feel in the world is as a result of this. Because humanity has only ever dealt with humanity, and now humanity is beginning to deal with other forms of life, intelligent life. So this is one of the major new realities, and the education goes very deep on this in the new message. Second is the reality of global change. Humanity has radically altered the environment of this world, irreparably in some ways. And that right there is pushing us on a nonstop course to a very, very difficult position, both in our world and in the universe in which we live. And so the reality of environmental destruction, political division, economic decline and contraction, limited growth, and then even things like the loss, catastrophic loss of biodiversity, the extinction of species, the poisoning of our oceans, the bleaching of coral. All of this, all of these are forces moving in the world, but they're moving in one direction. They are pushing humanity to relinquish its age-old conflicts and disputes with itself to unite sufficiently out of necessity for the survival of this race. That is the race at this moment, the race being run. And I know that's really overwhelming, potentially, and maybe not the world we want. And then you have the reality of contact on top of that, and that's overwhelming. But if you step back and acknowledge that these problems hold something for us, they call us out. And we who have been struggling with our isolation, our sense of smallness, depression, all of these maladies that affect us when we're not engaged with life appropriately, these new and challenging problems facing our world could be the thing that has our name on it. We could be connected to this. And should we undertake the journey of discovering our unique contribution to make, that could bring a lot of healing and a lot of health and well-being to us mentally and emotionally. And in fact, that is what the new message from God says, is that we came into the world to serve the world at this great threshold in its emergence and evolution. And it's a challenging time, as it would be. We knew that before coming. That was clear. And it's time now. It's time now for us to come online as participants and contributors. And so the new message presents this very clear, high-level perspective, giving us a high-level vantage point to look down on the world and on ourselves within the world, and it all finally comes together. The pieces start to fit, and it makes sense now. And I know in my experience, and from what I've heard from others, that perspective begins to release a lot of the angst and discomfort and pain that we felt living in this world without that awareness. Because if we are big picture people and the picture is muddied, it's broken up, it's not clear, we're not going to be well. No matter how much therapy we do on ourselves, we will not be well. And so this great challenge and this new reality of stepping out as one world into a larger universe brings tremendous benefits to us in our own lives and in our health and well-being and relationships and our work and everything. So really all of that constitutes what the new message calls the new life. And Patricia's going to speak on that.
Yeah. So along with this new world, so to speak, there's the opportunity for a new life. The question is, will we seize it? Will we seize it? As I was speaking earlier about this seeming increase in our self-awareness, there is the invitation to undertake a direct approach to our conscience within us, relationship with our conscience within a world that's changing and moving. This is part of the invitation to a new life, is a new way of being in this new world. A new way of being in this new world. And so, Reed encouraged me to tell a little micro story, and it had to do with a period in my life when I had just finished my academic training and was emerging from 7.5 years in school, and emerged with a couple of degrees and almost didn't know what to do with them. And I took a trolley train. I went to school in Boston, Massachusetts, and took the trolley underground to Cambridge for some reason, and emerged in the middle of the square there in Cambridge, right near Harvard University. And there was, of course, this amazing, illustrious bookstore. And I just, out of habit, half of me just bumbled into a bookstore, because that's what one does. That's all I knew to do at that time. And when I walked in and I looked at all those books, and I said to myself, oh my God, you know what I mean? This isn't what I need to learn anymore. I had built this 4,000 square foot mind. It was packed with stuff, and it wasn't what I needed to learn. And I just felt, almost like just reduced to a new beginning right there. Like, I did all that, I learned all that, and now this, it was such a genuine feeling I was having, but it was a calling. It was a calling. It was a calling to go another way, Not to relinquish or leave behind totally. This was good, but there's another way to go now. And so there's a journey to undertake, potentially. You may feel it. You may not be ready for it. You may be. But there's a journey, you know. And usually that would require both new experience and some kind of preparation. Another preparation. So what will that be? It's just so hard to get your head around this when it's so indefinite in your mind. You know, sometimes we have an idea, and sometimes we have no idea, you know. But there are steps. There's usually just one, like right there, to take. You can feel it. So you take that step. You know, you take that step. And some of the people in our world who've made the greatest contribution began their process of contribution in this very humble way. When you read the stories of their lives, it began with a step that they took.
It may have begun with disappointment.
Yeah.
It may have begun with a true low.
Yeah.
You know, the old saying, the turning of the lowest ebb is the turning of the tide.
Yeah.
It's when we are lowest in the water that the tide begins to turn for us.
You know, and I remember standing there as I walked out of that bookstore, and I was just thinking, what I'm feeling is the need to go to literally flip train tracks. This train track was going somewhere that I thought I knew where I was going. Another set of train tracks. Where am I going to find the energy? I have just put out a ton of energy, right? A ton invested. You know, and I got this feeling that there was a renewable resource that I just needed to tap into. And so my early preparation was like, what is that? How do I do that? Is there anyone who can perhaps convey to me some way to do this? And so the process began. And then the other steps became sort of revealed. And onward it went into a new life.
So what Patricia's speaking of here is this inexplicable experience of knowing, of being compelled to go here, not there, to engage with this person, not those people. And I'm sure you felt that impulse or directive or sense of must or must not that you just can't account for to others. You can't explain yourself. It's not in your conditioning to do that. You wouldn't do that, maybe, even as you. It's something you feel compelled to do. And we've all had moments in our life when that has come upon us, but the opportunity now is to engage with it ongoing because it's trying to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
You hold a gift that is to be given into the world with certain people at a certain time and in a certain way. And that gift, in all likelihood, has not yet been discovered. You are not living that life yet. You are not living the life you know you need to live. And that's where we are. And so this maybe random appearance of a greater vision or a sense of calm or assurance or connectedness that we've felt throughout our life, this now begins a journey for us where we engage with that. We follow that inner guidance that we hold, which in the new message is called knowledge, the reality of knowledge, the spiritual mind within us and beneath the thinking mind. So even as we think and want and avoid and embrace and so forth, there's a deeper knowing that's pushing us, trying to get us somewhere so that this gift can come out of us in our life, serve the world that needs that gift. And so part of the answer beyond education and learning up here is the journey of following this mysterious impulse, this mysterious directive, and going where it takes you. And it's not easy. And you're going to need companions. And thankfully, there are a lot of people, at least gathered through with the new message, who are undertaking that journey. But the journey is everything. You know, the new message says that we have so many questions and we want so many answers to those questions about our life and the world. But what is an answer but a form of preparation, a journey to take? an answer, a sentence, an idea. What is an idea going to do for us? We have thousands of ideas, and we're still lost. Humanity has thousands of ideas, and we still can't address the most obvious challenges facing us. It's because this knowledge is too dormant within us. It's suppressed. We are out of touch with that deeper current, pushing up and through all of us as individuals and as a world. And so this is what needs to happen. This is the world awakening. It is the awakening of knowledge, the spiritual presence within all people, so that that knowledge can emerge and communicate and give as it would give to meet the thousands and tens of thousands of needs all around the world. And so this process of awakening is underway. And if you are someone who has felt that stirring, that sense of calling to get somewhere, to meet someone, that there was something important about your life that you just couldn't quite let go of, even if you tried. If you're one of those people, then you are a forerunner for this race. You are someone in whom knowledge is moving, trying to get up and out and through you. And now we have a means of preparation, which is really the last part of the answer we want to talk about, a preparation that you can undertake to bring the thinking mind where you live today in greater concert with the knowing mind, the marriage of two minds. And this preparation in the new message from God is laid forth in a book called Steps to Knowledge, which is a daily practice in which the mind is given tools to engage with the knowing mind, in which we can feel knowledge moving in our daily life and listen for it, sense it, make an opening within ourselves for this knowledge to emerge. This is really the preparation. And the preparation and the journey that we must each take is truthfully the answer to the dilemma that we've long lived. So
it's time to bring forward the best kept secrets of our existence. They need to remain secret no more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was only a fleeting sense of presence or mystery before, now it becomes like the beating heart of your life. This is what you're about. This is actually what's happening, even as you go to work, even as you do all that you need to do in life. It's not so much what you do in the day, it's what the day is for. It's that your days are now dedicated to something that will really serve everything through you. And so this preparation in the way of knowledge is being given into the world now. It's come through my father, Marshall Vion Summers, and it's his gift to all people who feel the stir and who know that the times are not like the past, and they can feel tremendous change coming to the world. They can feel that the earth is perhaps connected to a larger association of life, and that is beginning to be known in the world today. People who have that sense of stirring, the level of awareness, the level of greater need for meaning and purpose and direction, people who feel that stirring need to pick up the steps and begin the steps to knowledge if it's right for them. So this is really the opportunity now going forward, is engage with knowledge, take the steps to knowledge, meet others who are doing the same, and meet this man, Marshall Vion Summers, who has lived a remarkable, inexplicable life, receiving a vast communication from the divine for the human family, which speaks precisely to the need that we have been living within for so many years, that we've been unable to name or to give a voice to, that need which we've tried to fulfill through all manner of stimulation, identity, hobbies, travel, all the things that we do as human beings. Some of it is just us being humans, of course, but some of it is seeking. We're seeking home, a home experience within ourselves. We're seeking our real relationships in the world. And I see that seeking everywhere. As I go to work, and as I see people roll in with a brand new car, it's like, wow, that's a gigantic car. And is it really the car you wanted? Or is it something else? And I do feel that beneath so many things that we seek in life, there's something deeper that we think is there in it. We think we will feel that sense of empowerment or reprieve or connectedness with others, community. We think it's there, but it's actually not in that. It's over here. You access it through knowledge within you. Knowledge guides you mysteriously to that appropriate community, to that place or sense of reprieve. And so this is the call, is come to knowledge, receive the new message, read this message, hear this message, and learn about the new realities that are becoming manifest in the world today. Yeah.
So we welcome you to join Marshall Van Summers, to actually perhaps meet him for the first time, spend some time with him, and with those of us from all over the world who have found the revelation that he spent the last 35 years receiving. We encourage you to come hold vigil with him. He holds vigil that this process that we've been speaking of here today continues for people all over the world. Their process of self-discovery, self-understanding, direction, and potentially mission and calling and service, right? Service.
Yeah.
So we will be holding vigil for 4 days, 5 days rather, where we will be considering these things for ourselves, for the world, and for all life within the world. So we invite you to join us then and join Marshall.
Yes. Yeah, he's taking this time really in a state of prayer that this knowledge can emerge in your life and that you can become a contributor to the world as it faces these huge challenges. And this vigil, which is 5 nights, as Patricia said, and begins this Wednesday at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and it'll be on Facebook Live right here, is really an opening where we all get to take a deep breath. We all get to step back from the craziness of life and feel again the deeper current that has mysteriously guided us perhaps in our life before, and that we can actually engage with more completely. So this is the opportunity we have, and I do encourage you to go onto YouTube or somewhere and search Marshall Van Summers, his name, and see what this man is saying in the world. See what he's communicating and see if that strikes you, stirs you. And if so, please participate in this vigil, a live broadcast every evening, where Marshall, Patricia, and I will be presenting all of these new realities one by one, not in 5 minutes, but in a longer duration, presenting them in their more complete picture, and then really talking about how that is connected to us, what that means for us. And with that, I encourage you to go look into the new message, newmessage.org. Much of the revelation is up online. You can read this mysterious set of communications from a divine presence that was delivered through Marshall in a state of revelation, spoken through him, recorded and then transcribed. Mm-hmm. And in this quite special process of what we call revelation, the words of a higher power, of an angelic source, are being made available to people here, specifically so that we can engage appropriately in our lives, in the world at this turning point, human history. So with that, thank you for spending this time with us. We look forward to spending more time together next week. And be well and know that there is a way and you are not alone. And the way opens before you if you want to begin to proceed.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.